It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 2nd, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game S Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, June NPD numbers are in, and we got a nude Chun Li. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game S Mornings. It's Lucy James, everybody. Lucy, how are you doing?
Hi. Is a nude Chun Li anything different from a nude Tane?
It's in that same vein. We got a new Tane, but you have to hit the fire alarm. It's a panic. It causes problems everywhere. But Chun Li can definitely give you a hat wobble. I promise you that. I'm back for Game S Mornings. It's been about a week, everybody. But
a whole week.
Yeah, a whole week because we, just the way the timing worked out. I got back on Tuesday. We did the Bombcast 800 yesterday. That was a lot of fun.
We did.
It was a good time. But I am ready to get back into the flow of Game S Mornings, though. This is the show for me. Let's make it happen.
This is your baby.
It's the baby. Yeah, look at that. Jen's putting your names down there and the X handles. Oh boy. Oh. Yeah, that's cool. That's actually good thinking. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be back. Lucy, what did I miss? Did anything happen in gaming over the past week? Or is everyone's just playing Pikmin 4, I bet?
I don't know. I was at Comic-Con, so I saw a bunch of gaming stuff, I guess. Met Kelly Hu. Do you remember the fantastic 90s TV show, Martial Law?
I do remember that, yeah. Yes.
Met Kelly Hu. Also, she was in X-Men, and she's obviously in Mortal Kombat.
Right. Okay. Yes. Totally.
And Ed Boon. Oh, heard about a cool. I didn't play it yet, but the people behind Project Winter. Yeah. They're making a Walking Dead game, and Walking Dead, I don't care about, but sure. Project Winter is awesome, and in the Walking Dead one, you can come back to life and basically get the horde of people to go after your friends. So that was cool. And then saw a lot of Funko Pops.
Oh yeah, they're still making those.
They've made Tam and I into one.
Whoa! So you, Tam, Machine Gun Kelly, all together as Funko Pops.
As a little Funko. Wait! Hang on. Can we rewind?
Yeah.
What is up with that tiny cup?
Why is everyone thinking it's an espresso cup? It needs to be. What am I supposed to drink? A tiny bit of espresso out of a giant thing? Okay. Well, listen.
I mean, I'm drinking a Yorkshire Gold.
You don't have to shame me.
Not sponsored, but hashtag gifted.
I'm just drinking a creamer.
What?
DJ T Money in chat says he's drinking a creamer, and that's very funny to me. Like my special little tiny mug for my creamer. You ever drink the half and half at the table when you were a kid? Because my kids want to do that. I did that as a kid. You get the little cups and you peel off the top and you drink it.
We don't have half and half. We just have milk.
Okay, well that's in America. This is a tradition.
But I think I used to do that with little things of milk. I definitely remember being at a table once and having a sugar sandwich with the little sugar cubes.
Incredible, so. Yeah. I never just suck down ketchup packets. I think that's something that only happened in movies or Dan Riker. Actually, Dan Riker doesn't like ketchup.
Oh no, he doesn't.
No.
I do have a friend who used to drink straight vinegar when she was a kid.
I think I'm getting to that point, Lucy. Vinegar's very good. I think it's one of my favorite foods now. Just vinegar.
Yeah, for vinegar. I made a little marinade for my chicken yesterday with a lot of balsamic vinegar and some Worcestershire sauce and everything. It was great.
That's a word I'm afraid to say, but it's a good
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. Yeah. I pretend to sneeze halfway through the word. That's the way to do it. All right, this is a mess. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the June 2023 NPD report, which are Circana. I'm just going to keep saying NPD. I'm sorry, Matt. This comes from Matt Piscatella on Twitter, where he posted, June 2023 U.S. video game market highlights from Circana. June 2023 U.S. consumer spending on video game content, hardware, and accessories reached $4.7 billion. That is a 9% increase versus last year. It was the second highest spending ever achieved in a June month, trailing only June 2021's $4.8 billion. Other aspects of that, hardware did pretty well, up 22%. We'll get into all those details here in a second. Accessories up 14%. Video game content, like you said, up 7%. That's pretty good. It seems like just a bunch of new games coming out really juice those sales, and those new games include the top 3 best-selling games of the month, which were Diablo 4 at number 1, Final Fantasy 16 at number 2, and Street Fighter 6 at number 3. And the number 4 is Tears of the Kingdom, without its digital sales still coming in ahead of Hogwarts Legacy. That is really good for all those games. Diablo 4 did especially well. It is already the number 3 best-selling game of this year so far, according to Circana in the United States. Now, that is behind just the physical sales for Tears of the Kingdom, but Tears of the Kingdom, of course, we know is going to be this massive success. They said already 10 million for that. So no surprise Diablo 4 is behind that, even with its digital sales. But this is very good for Diablo. We know that Diablo 4 is the Blizzard's fastest selling game ever. They said so. So that is juicing the June month. Video games feels like it's like high tide, low tide. But overall, like when we do get a month where a bunch of these new games come out, Lucy, it does feel like, and yet here's one of the biggest months ever. Like it's still on the upswing, even in the console and PC space, where we hear, it's kind of stagnant, right? Is that how it looks to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just comparing, what June last year was like, and it was Diablo Immortal.
That's right.
It was anime tie-ins. I'm looking for the biggest ones, but like the biggest Nintendo looks, was it Mario Strikers Battle League? And then you've got the Quarry, Neon White, everything else, Naraka Blade Point, maybe.
Yeah, games that are not Diablo, Final Fantasy, and Street Fighter, right?
None of them come close. And so, yeah, you're going to obviously see a huge rise. But it feels like this year, I'm not going to speak for game devs at all, but, the pandemic 2020 especially caused so many pipelines to shift. So many games that were supposed to come out 3 years ago are just kind of coming out now. Still feeling the impact of it, and so that's why we have such a slammed year. I'm already like not worried about, because in the grand scheme of things for me to worry about, this is really a nothing. But Game of the Year this year is going to be so difficult. It's going to be, honestly, I think for Giant Bomb, it could be pretty exciting if we do it the way we did last year. So we make that top 20 now, and it's like unranked 20, and then we just do the what's the Eurovision voting for out of that top 20. Oh yeah,
it's like, what is actually going to win? I think Tears of the Kingdom is still probably a lock. Again,
no.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be fighting against Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sorry.
It's
good, but it's a great game. It's not the best one this year.
But I have no idea what you're gonna say is the best game of the year so far. Like, it could be
thing,
4 other things.
It could be Starfield. It could be
Starfield
Alan Wake 2.
It
could be I was gonna say Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's not gonna be that. But it could be Baldur's Gate. It could be literally anything. But like
but those are all those games haven't come out yet. So is there anything that's come out so far that you would put in there?
In terms of games that I've loved this year, I like Final Fantasy 16 more than I like Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I think some people will. That will get a fair number of votes.
Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake.
Okay, that's
I know they're remakes, and so that's going to be. I have more fun with Dave the Diver than Tears of the Kingdom.
A lot of people like Dave the Diver.
Dredge.
That's one I haven't played. That's one I'll need to get on. I'll boot up Resident Evil 4 remake for Mike, who keeps yelling at me to actually finish that, and then I'll turn it off and play Dredge instead. That sounds very good to me. I mean, okay, as much as you will be fighting against it, I still think Zelda's got a very good chance of winning. But you're right. The unknowns of Alan Wake and Starfield. Overall, though, the story here is this has been a very strong year for games, and we compared it to last June, but that's like here he's saying that this is the second best June for the MPD tracking, for the Circana tracking ever. And that's, that feels like all those things coming together, like you said, the moving somewhat out of the pandemic, these games that have been in the works for a very long time, finally getting a chance to come out and, performing pretty well. Generally, the response to Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, and Street Fighter 6 were all very positive. Like each of them have their detractors for whatever reason. I guess maybe not Street Fighter 6, but the other two definitely have had some detractors here and there. But overall, it's widely positive, and seems like that's going to continue through the rest of this year. Like that, the games that are lined up:
I think so.
Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, Starfield, just to name those three. They seem like they will probably also hit just the amount of work that has gone into them. So yeah, video game sales hitting their strides as we go through this year. Let's continue here from the Circana report from Matt Piscatella. Content spending during the year's first half reached $22.8 billion. That's flat from a year ago. An 8% increase in content spending on console and a slight gain in non-mobile subscription spending were offset by declines in mobile and the PC, cloud, and non-console VR segments. Diablo 4 was the best-selling game of June, instantly becoming the number 3 best-selling game of 2023 year-to-date. 4 other new releases appeared among the top 20 bestsellers, including Final Fantasy 16, Street Fighter 6, and then F123 was number 15, and A Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life was number 17. Launch month sales for Street Fighter 6 more than doubled those of Street Fighter 5 from February 2016. Street Fighter 6 enjoyed the highest launch month dollar sales for a head-to-head fighting game since the April 2019 launch of Mortal Kombat 11. Street Fighter,
I was going to say, and it will hold that record until Mortal Kombat 1.
Exactly. Like Street Fighter, no real chance of ever kind of outdoing Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat's broad appeal is like actually even bigger than Street Fighter. But being in that conversation with Mortal Kombat 11 is a good thing. That's where Street Fighter should be. If it's getting close to that, that's very, very good for Street Fighter. Let's see here. Continuing on. Video game hardware spending increased 22% versus a year ago. That's to $454 million. This is the highest video game hardware spend for a June month since the $617 million reached in June 2008. A double-digit percentage growth in PlayStation 5 spending offset declines in spending on Xbox Series and Switch. Xbox Series, they talked about this in their earnings report last week or earlier this week. Xbox sales slipped year over year in terms of hardware. Is that, you were on the couch when we were talking to Phil, like he said this to us, like that he's not that worried about it, that the growth for them is happening on PC. Do you buy that?
I just have that. I think you should leave. I'm not worried about it.
I see some worse stuff on the local news.
I mean, I think the thing for Phil is subscription revenue is way more lucrative.
And that does continue to grow.
And that continues to grow. So I think obviously they are concerned about it. They want people to be buying those consoles, but at the same time, if subscription revenue was dipping, that's when the panic stations would be, condition 1 throughout the ship. Yeah,
and then I said as much to him like that. Hey, isn't selling more Xbox the best way to sell more subscriptions? And he said no, it's happening on PC and other places. So it's like okay. I still want to see what happens when Starfield comes out. Because I would imagine having a system seller still is important. It still seems valuable, but we'll get there when we get there and see if that actually happens. And then, if they see a huge increase in Xbox sales, we'll see what the press release says. If they are, oh, look how many Xboxes we sold, then I think that probably still is pretty important to them. Let's see. Year-to-date hardware spending remains 23% higher when compared to the same period in 2022. That's a total of $2.6 billion. PlayStation 5 was the best-selling hardware platform in both unit and dollar sales during June 2023. Consumer spending on PlayStation hardware reached its highest June total since 2008, while unit sales were the highest achieved since June 2010. PlayStation 5 continues to lead the 2023 hardware market across both unit and dollars. This is making up lost ground that happened in 2021 and 2022 when it was very supply constrained. And they announced 40 million PlayStation 5 sold, about 2 months behind the pace of the PlayStation 4. It's going to catch up to the PlayStation 4 here pretty soon, right? The PlayStation 5?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, now that it's fully available with such a strong lineup of games, like especially third-party stuff coming out. And you got Spider-Man, so, Oh, hello.
My camera's being kind of shaky, and I like
you were just like reaching out.
Oh yeah, just like hello, here, let me come through the camera. There we go. That's they don't see that here, and I'll do it to everybody at home. Like this camera's mounted to the wall, and so unless I'm shaking this entire basement and the foundation of my home, which is possible, there's no reason it should be as shaky as it is. It's bothering me.
No.
I gotta look into there's some fundamental error in my setup here.
I thought you meant air in your setup, and I was like, I'd hope there'd be air in your setup so you could breathe. I live above a garage, and because in San Francisco, no one in this building actually has a car in there. They are all rented out to people who have
money,
muscle cars. Yeah. No, literally, it's all people who leave muscle cars. And this morning I was woken up at, about an hour ago by a guy just revving the engine.
Was he just yelling family and...
Yeah, and I was like, my wife left me. I was like, shut up. Do this after 8 a.m., you dick.
I can't hear the feelings of my divorce with this revving engine. Yeah.
I keep it in this garage so she doesn't take it.
Yeah, that's an incredible setup. Lucy, I don't want to make a big deal about it, but just can you say garage one more time for me? It's
garage.
Yeah, that's
car hole.
That's good. Car hole. Yeah, put it back in the car hole.
Well, Mr. Frenchman, with my garage.
My garage. All right. Let's see here. Anything else? Yes. Accessory spending during June increased 14% when compared to a year ago, totaling $214 million. June's top 4 best-selling accessories in dollar sales were the PlayStation 5 DualSense gamepad. Yes, that was like the various versions of the DualSense, led by the DualSense Edge. The PlayStation 5 DualSense Edge remains the best-selling accessory of 2023 in dollar sales. Yeah, people buying
2 hours of battery.
Yeah,
2 hours of battery.
I'm just like, no thanks, I'm good. Do you need?
But I want it though because apparently it's much better for repetitive strain injury. I won't. Yeah. I shan't.
Battery life is the most important thing for me for controllers these days, Lucy. I actually just swapped out some fresh batteries into a couple of controllers, like fresh lithium-ion batteries, and then I just reinvested in a whole bunch of rechargeable lithium ions that I could double A's. I'm like, all right, I got my whole setup ready to go, and yes, that's what matters. But accessory spending being up, that's usually a sign that people are getting excited about what's to come, right? You buy...
Nature is healing.
Nature's healing. You buy controllers, you buy headsets, not just when you're like playing the games now, it's when you're looking forward to games coming out later this year, and you're like, I want my stuff to be ready to go. I want to spend money now because I'm so excited about spending money next month. And so accessory spending bouncing back up after being very high throughout the pandemic and then taking a dive as people started doing other things with their money, coming back up. That's a really good sign, I think, overall, that the video game industry is well back on its way to as you said, healing. All right, let's move on here to FIFA and Jedi Survivor drive EA first quarter growth. This comes from Brendan Sinclair at GamesIndustry.biz. Electronic Arts reported its first quarter results today, posting gains across the business as its sports offerings were boosted by a slate of 5 new releases. As far as the numbers go, for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2023, revenue was at $1.92 billion, up 9% year on year, with total net bookings, which is basically a way of saying just revenue, sales, net bookings being like the thing that they actually bring home. 1.58 billion, up 21% year on year. Net income 402 million, up 29% year on year. The highlights: EA's fiscal year is off to a strong start as the publisher posted record Q1 net bookings and saw gains across all its key performance metrics. EA delivered a record Q1 driven by strong momentum in EA Sports Global Football and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, EA CEO Andrew Wilson said. The FIFA
is that the new name?
Yes.
EA Sports Global Football.
No, Global Football is lowercase. EA Sports Football Club is the new name, though. EA Sports FC. How does that find you? You okay with that?
No. The brand recognition is just compared to FIFA, I don't know. I mean, the UK, you grew up with football, proper football.
Right.
Proper football.
Yes.
And FIFA is just so synonymous with it. And yeah, eFootball equally as bad. I understand EA and Konami wanting to get away from No, wait. Why did Konami leave Pro Evolution Soccer?
No, This is literally what I was going to bring up. What is wrong with Konami? Because it used to be international.
Oh, you want to pull at that thread?
No, but here we are doing this job. They had International Superstar Soccer in the 90s. That's a fine name. I like that. International Superstar Soccer 64, one of my favorite games of all time. Then they changed it to Winning 11. It took time, but another fine name. That at the end I was like, fine, Winning 11.
Winning 11.
So then they changed it to Pro Evolution Soccer, and I don't get any of the change. Why did they ever change any of these names? And now it's eFootball. They gave up Pro Evolution Soccer as well. I don't know. It's like, hey, they want to challenge themselves and reset the branding every 10 years. It's so stupid.
Hey, well, as we've seen from the just impeccable takeover of Twitter, or should I say X, doesn't matter what your brand is. Anything can be rebranded.
Anything can.
Anyway, anything can be rebranded. Oh, great. Anyway, yeah, so good for FIFA.
Yeah, FIFA and Jedi Survivor, I think, not too surprising that was a very strong sequel, but it seems like it met and then exceeded expectations for EA. And, as we were saying in the lead up over here on this show, that they would start on a new Star Wars game, a new Star Wars Jedi game. If this game met those expectations, they've already started working on that. That's what's happening over there. They're going to do a third game, and then they probably will take a break from that series. So, yeah, not too surprising. Let's see. The first quarter saw EA launch 5 major titles. That's Star Wars Jedi Survivor, PGA Tour, Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth, Super Mega Baseball 4, and F1 23. The current quarter will see EA launch Madden NFL 24, EA Sports FC 24, which is just a bunch of syllables, and Immortals of Avium, while the third quarter has NHL 24 confirmed for it. So shout out to Bacalar. UFC 5 and an unannounced racing title are also expected at some point this fiscal year. Looking ahead, the company reiterated its full year guidance of $7.3 billion to $7.7 billion for both bookings and revenue. Lucy,
wait, so does Sims expansions just not count anymore? $40 products don't count anymore?
They definitely mentioned the Sims in these reports before. When did that Sims expand? They do one a quarter, right?
2 weeks ago. No. Oh, okay.
No,
so they
okay,
do.
my bad. Yep.
They do a major expansion once or twice a year. This year we've had Growing Together and Stable Life, which is something that I can only dream of having. And then they do kits stuff. So kits earlier this year, there was like a grunge clothing pack. I don't understand the need for clothing packs when there's so much community made content.
Were flannel shirts not in the game before the grunge pack? I mean, I don't get it.
They were in the werewolf pack.
Werewolves are the grunge of the monster world, so that makes a lot of sense.
No, so basically, but The Sims makes so much money. It's got like 10 million players. Oh no, they added 10 million players after it went free to play.
Right.
It's wild to me that Maxis is not on these.
Well, so
Maxis makes so much money.
Like this is for the last quarter, so that would have been the ending June 30th. So that would not include
just quarter?
Yes, for the 3 months ended June 30th. Yes, that's what they're reporting here. This is their first quarter.
No, that's fine. Okay, I think that's fine because I think Growing Together came out in like February. So
that sounds good because I definitely remember Sims getting mentioned, especially that free to play move. That definitely came up as like a big thing.
That was last year,
and that was a while ago.
I want to say like September last year.
Yeah, because that's when they started about Sims 5, just mentioning it, and then they're like, but now we're going free to play, so kind of setting everything up, and that was the end of last year. That sounds right. I overall though, how do you feel about EA these days? Because I think I look at their release schedule, and it's still like, well, there's not a ton coming out that I'm excited about, but they did just do Jedi Survivor, and they did Dead Space Remake earlier this year, and I kind of want to give them credit for that. Do you think that they are hitting a nice balance of their sports games, some live service stuff, trying something new like Immortals of Avium, and then having these big single-player games that actually do hit?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best their balance has ever been. They are still wildly relying on sports, as you can see from the slate, especially. But I mean, that's the moneymaker. People buy them, the command droves for it. So like, I'm not mad about that. Because at the same time, we have EA originals. So you got Immortals of Avium, had Wild Hearts earlier this year. They are investing in single player and not seemingly putting it in a bunch of bullshit. We all remember Mass Effect. and online passes, day one DLC for characters that should have been in the main game, putting multiplayer modes into Dragon Age. Like, this feels like a very different EA where they have actually seen the value that a single player game can bring. I agree with you. The rest of the year, it's very sports. It's very, very sports. Not necessarily for me, but, you know, I imagine that this is where we're going to be hearing about, hopefully, Mass Effect.
Yeah, I think it's like if, you know, we get Dead Space Remake and we get Jedi Survivor, but both games that I think are pretty good. And then these sports games continue to do what they do, and that pays the bills for everything else. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, and here is Dragon Age, and then here's some news about Mass Effect. I mean, it's like hard for me to be mad at EA if that's the way that they want to do this, because I think it makes sense for them, and it makes sense for me as a fan of these other games that they're putting out. It's like if this is the bargain we have to strike, I think I'm mostly at a place where like this stasis that we've established with EA, I'm fine with. They are one of the few big publishers still out there, kind of making games like this. You know, there's not a lot of them. It's 4 or 5 companies like this, and if they have stepped back from the ledge of we need to abandon everything to go all in on, you know, what was it, or, you know, obviously live service games right now, but before that, it's like we're going to make our own MMOs and we're going to make our Dota clones and all this stuff. And it seems like they just have found a voice in their games that is working for them, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think the big question is, and we'll get to this in a second, franchises like Battlefield that still feel lost in the woods. But you know, we got a story about that, so we'll get to that in a second. After EA says its college football game is making incredible progress, but is still working through licensing. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. EA has given an update on the state of its upcoming college football game. During a Q&A as part of its Q1 2024 earnings call, the publisher's execs were asked for an update on the game's progress. CEO Andrew Wilson replied by saying the development team has made some incredible progress. He added, "The team's doing an incredible job building out what will be the future of college football. Gameplay is really coming together and really capturing all the action of pageantry and the difference in college football versus the NFL. I feel really confident in what the team's doing. We're working through the license situation broadly. As of now, we've got many, if not most of the schools licensed as part of our licensing program. We'll continue to work with the various governing bodies of the sport in the country and some key third-party partners we have around how and when to include college athletes themselves into the game, and we'll work very closely with them. But I'm confident that this will be an incredible reemergence of that college football experience, that it will capture all the action and pageantry." Oh, this is now just repeating itself. This is college football in America's big thing, Lucy. It is huge business, and I bet it's very weird.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yep.
It's exceptionally weird to me. Feels a little culty. I don't know. Like,
it's a byproduct of, you know, states. You know, the states used to feel like countries in the United States like 200 years ago. You know, my country is Virginia, that sort of thing. And this is the way that's expressed these days. And so it's like there's a lot of baggage in it, and yet I can't help it. I'm a huge, you know, Michigan fan. I love watching college football. There is a lot of pageantry. There is a lot of like. Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong, and to peg it as like cult-like, because you know what you know. These rooting for your college, like you're supposed to pay a college, and they're supposed to give you an education, and then you're supposed to move on with your life. It seems like, and then it's like, no, you're supposed to actually build this huge allegiance to your school for some reason, and all of this is part of that, like having the college football stuff. But that said, a good college football game would make me pretty happy. I would, you know, I'm not going to buy it every year, but I would check in on it, and I would probably be more excited about it than the NFL game personally. This is go ahead.
Hang on. So, like, because I'm obviously an expert in football, because I did that Super Bowl thing earlier this year, didn't I? Anyway,
that's right, you did.
So the thing that weirds me out about football is just like, how much the players get paid. Not because I think they get paid too much, but it's literally because you are going to get so injured. This is basically hazard pay.
Oh, yeah. So
in college football, are they getting paid? Are they getting paid and then they're still being licensed to be put into a video game like this? Like,
so forever, they were just getting, not only were they not getting paid.
They get like scholarships and stuff, right?
Yeah. Some would, many would, but not only were they not getting paid, if they got any money, they would get in trouble, and their careers would get ruined even before they had a career.
Chat, by the way, has all just gone, oh, Lucy.
Yes.
Apparently this is a big topic.
Now, this is changed recently with the NIL rules, which is the name, image, and likeness. And this was the result of some court case that was like, the NCAA cannot be the thing that stops people from being able to make a living, even college students. That's insane, which it always was. And so the name, image, and likeness thing is, you are now allowed to go and do car commercials for your local, you're a big star at the University of Michigan. Go do car commercials for the local, dealerships or whatever, and you can get paid. And, what's happening is people like, I'm not going to have to think of her name, but the gymnast from LSU who has huge NIL deals. She's like getting her for like other friends on her team and getting them deals as well, bringing them along with them. And that's kind of how it's working right now, where it's this weird, like there's one star and they're trying to like get some money spread around to their other friends on their team. And that seems to be the issue. The main issue here with football is that there is no one solution to get all these players. It is, you're going to have to go through this Byzantine process of some of these middlemen are trying to stand in the way and saying, we represent all these players, and they clearly don't. And then some of these stars are going to be like, I'm going to negotiate on my own behalf. And then some people are going to be like, I'm a second string offensive lineman. Am I going to see any money from this? And it's like, maybe get $50. I have no idea.
Oh my God.
Now, people have like reached out and explained some of this to me, and I don't remember many of the details, but it's like the way they used to do it, Lucy, for college football, which there used to be college football games, they would just have numbers on the players, and they wouldn't even try to make them look like the real players, because that would have been, they could have gotten in trouble for that. So they just had numbers on there, and then fans would do all the work of actually.
Like Pez. Yeah,
exactly. And then you would just download that, and then you have all the real names and stuff like that. But EA was just kind of, even that was like getting pretty close to them getting in trouble. So this is the new solution, is trying to figure out the licensing agreement. And that, like, that's what he's saying without saying it. That continues to be the hump. The other problem that I've heard is that Tiburon, the studio that does Madden, is going to be doing college football and does PGA Tour. And I think they're working on one other thing. They are very, very busy, and they're being spread in a million different directions. And their goal here was to create an NCAA football game that stands on its own and isn't just last year's Madden game, which is what they used to do. And it's like that. I don't know if anyone actually cares all that much if it's something different than Madden, but he even talked about it here. Andrew Wilson said it's like, oh, we're going to amplify the differences between the college game and the NFL pro game. So, okay, that's fine. We kind of just want our teams, and we kind of, if you can get the players, great. If you can't, we'll figure out the rest. Don't worry about that. But we just kind of want to see, the logos of our teams and then those college football stadiums, and that's all we really need. But, I can imagine them saying this is the first one in a very long time. If we get it right, it could be big, big money. So, they're going to take their time, and Tiburon needs that time right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right. The next Battlefield will be a reimagination of the franchise. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. EA CEO Andrew Wilson recently said that the upcoming Battlefield game will be a reimagination of Battlefield as a truly connected ecosystem. Also, just a bunch of words. Wilson only mentioned the game in passing during a recent earnings call, so we don't have that much more to go on. Lucy, what is the future of Battlefield in this world where the biggest shooters are either free to play or Call of Duty, and Battlefield hasn't really found a way to fit back in?
Oh, I don't know. I was never a Battlefield fan, to be honest. As in just like it wasn't, I never played it. Really. I mean, I'm intrigued to see, because they've got Marcus Leto, who's a co-creator of Halo. He's leading a new studio. I mean, that's exciting, but 2042 was... I played a bunch of that, and I was like, ooh, boy, okay, this is just not hitting for me. So, I don't know. I think that's the question they're asking themselves, too. Because, Battlefield 4 was huge. You couldn't escape that, so... I genuinely don't know. Is it...
I think the question... because when Battlefield 2042 was coming out, my thing was... How? It's $70. How does that make sense? It's you're gonna put it like the previous Battlefield game before that came out in a world where you could put out a game for $60, and it could be an online multiplayer game, and people would show up and they would pay the entry fee, and because that was their option, and they didn't have anything else really to go to. There were some free to play smaller things, but then in that intervening time, Fortnite took over the world, and then Apex Legends came around, and there's a million of these free to play shooters now, and there's several very big ones taking all the oxygen out of the room. And if you want to get online to play a game with your friends, the last thing most people want to do is convince their friends to spend money. If they can just say, let's go hang out in the free game. Overwatch is free now. Like, let's go play that instead. Like, Team Fortress 2. We'll just go play an old game. Who cares? It's better than trying to get your friends to spend money and then having them be annoyed that you talk them into wasting money on a game they don't like. So that $70 price tag for Battlefield 2042 always looks strange. And I think in the long run, it proved that doesn't make a lot of sense unless the game is so good that you just can't ignore that. And they have not been able to get Battlefield to that point. So, a reimagination of the franchise, I think, as a free-to-play game, service game, that's almost inevitable at this point. And I think, the roadmap is right there before them. BattleBit on Steam is this smaller game, but it still feels like a Battlefield. Just has worse graphics, quote unquote worse graphics. And they could just try to kind of do that, make an old style Battlefield, make it free to play, and make it look good, so that it stands out from something like BattleBit. I think if you kind of just nail those things, it'll probably be fine. It could find some audience because people do really like Battlefield. But what they did last time is just probably not going to work again.
Yeah, wasn't it?
All right, let's see here. Hasbro apologizes for claiming Activision lost its Transformers games. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Hasbro has apologized for claiming that Activision had lost its Transformer games and that this is the reason they aren't on Xbox Game Pass. In an interview with Transformers World last week, a member of the Hasbro team said it would like to see Microsoft revive Activision's old Transformer games via Game Pass. It claimed, however, that this may not be possible because it believed Activision had lost the hard drives containing the games. Sadly, apparently, Activision's not sure what hard drives they're on in their building, they suggested. When a company eats a company and that eats a company, things get lost, and that's very frustrating. Hope is that now that the deal is moving forward with Microsoft and Xbox, they'll go through all of the archives and every hard drive to find it all because it's easy. It's an easy Game Pass ad. Now, since then, in a statement to VGC, the company has apologized to Activision, saying the comments were made in error. And basically, it sounds like when VGC reached out to Activision for comment, Activision's like, here's a Hasbro person to apologize to us.
Oh my God.
To clarify, comments that suggest Transformers games have been lost were made in error. We apologize to Activision and regret any confusion. They've been great partners, and we look forward to future opportunities to work together. That's the statement. That is still... here's the thing. What is wrong with Activision? How do they know that this isn't actually helpful to them? This just makes them also look weird and dumb and like douchebags.
Yeah, it makes them... That's something great.
We don't need Hasbro to come out and apologize to you because your feelings got hurt. Just tell us what's going on with the games or say something about the games. You don't have to tell us what's going on. I understand sometimes that's nebulous because contracts and you're still working it out. You don't know what's going on with the games. But speak about the games. That was the original question. Give us some information, even if it is, well, we can't speak about that, but we do know where everything is. And in the future, as we are figuring stuff out, we will be able to act on that. But they didn't say anything like that. They just made this company come out and apologize and say that was made in error. I suppose they probably do have like some marker of like, oh, the game is stored here and here and here or whatever. So it's not really lost. But I bet Hasbro has asked for access to that stuff and was like, that's a lot of work to go find that. Is probably what happened. But I mean,
the original files for Kingdom Hearts were lost, right?
I mean, I believe they were destroyed.
Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts was created so long ago. The original data was missing.
Yeah, I think
so basically Square had to recreate everything.
There was a big seance, and they destroyed it and sent it back to hell where it belongs. Sorry, Dan. I'm sorry, I'm just joking.
Well, I mean, I'm a Kingdom Hearts enjoyer. They remade everything, so it's like fine.
Destroyed a heroic act to supplant me. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Activision could have handled that a lot better. Just to be like, hey, yeah, it was made in error. We do know where it is. No plans to bring it back just yet, but we are registering interest. I don't know, like something easy like that.
Yep, exactly. And just,
I can do PR.
Activision, like, speak for yourself. And like, because these are technically your published games. So you speak to it. Don't make Hasbro come back out there. Or if you have them apologize, I don't really care. That makes you look weird, Activision, but if that's what you need to do, whatever. But then also, in addition, actually speak to the issue at hand. And nope, they're not going to do that. I know a lot of people reached out to Activision for comment as part of reporting on the story. And Activision just ignored them until this. This is the first thing that they did.
I just didn't realize that like Transformers was as big as it is. I feel like I led a sheltered life. I didn't grow up in the 80s, so I missed it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
In the 90s, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles big?
Not for me. I've never watched it. I didn't have. Oh no, my dad had Sky, which is like cable for a little bit. So I was very much a Cartoon Network kid. So Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab. I remember watching things like Gargoyles.
Sure. So like Disney action cartoons and Disney Afternoon.
Yeah, but again, it was just like whatever the BBC would license or ITV would license. Oh yeah, we had a show called My Parents Are Aliens. That was sick.
Okay, wow. Listen, I never seen that. But,
great.
Transformers was a part of that early wave of the rules in America changed so that TV shows could basically be commercials for toys before the 80s. That was against the rule. And then Ronald Reagan saved us from ourselves and let us start marketing to children. And so Transformers is part of that wave of like, let's just make this shit really cool for kids, because then they're going to want to buy this stuff for the rest of their lives. And that happened. And it's like one of the foremost like big 80s nostalgia properties, Transformers. Right. And so, War for Cybertron is like one of the only decent Transformers games. So people do harbor a lot of love for it.
The ride at Universal Studios Hollywood is very fun. Yeah. It's probably the best motion ride that they have.
I enjoyed that.
Right in saying that.
I like that one. I did that one first in Singapore and really, really enjoyed it. And then was very excited to do it again. That's a good ride. All right, let's see here. The Last of Us RipOff game on Switch has been taken down and trailers have been copyright claimed by Sony. This comes from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. It's apparently no longer possible to stand with Brian in the Last Hope Dead Zone revival, an egregious copycat of The Last of Us for Nintendo Switch. The third-person shooter saw Brian Lee gunning down zombies and finding a girl named Eve. Unsurprisingly, she looked just like Ellie from the PlayStation blockbuster. Eurogamer reports not only has the game been removed from the eShop, but also that Sony has submitted copyright claims on YouTube trailers for the game. The Nintendo UK listing for The Last Hope now redirects to a picture of Peppy Hare asking, "What's wrong, Fox?" with a 404 air. This was a hilarious and brazen Last of Us ripoff that was never, and it was never available in North America. I was like wondering, because I was like trying to buy this game and I couldn't find it, so maybe that makes sense. The Last Hope originally launched in the UK on June 30th for £9. One clear departure from Joel and Ellie's adventure that the game took was incorporating time travel into the storyline. This is a very funny element, Lucy. Have you looked into The Last Hope at all? Have you seen anything about this?
I've seen the pictures of it, but Digital Foundry did a video. I need to watch that.
So one of the most amazing things about it is there's a zombie outbreak, and then the trailer's like, to stop the outbreak, we sent Brian into the future. Wait, what? Wait, how does that make sense?
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? Why would you go in the future to stop something that's happening now? You need to go into the past. Like, maybe that's your problem right there. But yeah, I'm Lucy, I'm like actually desperate to play this game. I'm gonna like look into finding a way to play it.
Yeah, someone must have put it somewhere.
I'm gonna look I'm gonna look in those legal places and see if I can make that happen. And then we have a show, Blight Club, and I have some enemies that I could punish with this game. So maybe we can make that happen. It's real bad. Apparently, if you ever run in the game, your stamina depletes, and I don't think there's any way to replenish your stamina. And you get to
I feel when I run, to be fair.
That's as well, yeah. And if you use your bat, that uses stamina, and so if you use your gun, that also uses stamina. And so you have a limited number of times that you can actually kill zombies. And Digital Foundry did the math, and like you can kill about like 50 to 60 zombies, and there's about 300 zombies in the game. So there's a way to like get into a point where you can't beat the game because you've killed too many other zombies before that. And I'm like, this sounds fantastic. Absolutely. How do you feel about like really bad games like this getting a place on something like the eShop or the PlayStation Network? Because it doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of people. I wonder like where you fall on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't bother me as long as curation is decent enough to keep them out of the way when I'm actually searching for something.
And we know that eShop not well curated. Like that's just, that's a big problem there.
Not well curated at all. So it depends. I mean, I'm honestly not too. I mean, there's a lot of shit on Steam, the eShop, PlayStation Network. So yeah, I mean, I think at least Xbox, PlayStation, Steam are much better at curating, but yeah, we're gonna get to a point where we just can't find the things that we actually want.
Yeah, I think even if like they were to draw a quality bar and be like, we could just tell this game is below this arbitrarily designated quality bar, which by any metric, this game would fall below that. Even though
as long as it works. I mean,
exactly. I personally still want to be able to make that choice for myself. That's where I'm at. I want to decide if I don't want this game, even if everyone else on Earth agrees it's bad. Maybe I want to play a bad video game. There's still value to me in that. And I want to be able to decide that myself. But I get it. If I had my own store, I would be selecting products that make my store look good. I get that. That's fine if that's what the store wants to do. But even if they did that, there are so many games that are coming out that would be above almost any arbitrarily designated quality bar. That like actual curation was always going to be a problem, and finding stuff's always going to be a problem. And that's the thing with the eShop. If you aren't in one of those tabs of like featured, on sale, new, or top best-selling games, like these are the tabs they have. And if you're not on one of those, like finding the game organically is basically impossible. You have to know the game you're looking for and search for it, and that's a Nintendo problem. And they need to fix it. And I don't think the solution is just remove hundreds of games. Like, no, just the Nintendo needs to do more work. Steam has the same issue, and they have a bunch of problems that are, they use their algorithm and stuff, and it's not perfect. But people usually don't complain about finding games on Steam. Not really. The indie apocalypse was a thing, and like it's not great for the one good game that obviously should succeed. If it gets lost in the shuffle, that's bad. But still, I think the erring on the side of letting people buy games usually is where I'm going to land.
Yeah.
All right. A couple more stories here. The Street Fighter 6 tournament was interrupted by a nude Chun Li mod. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. A Street Fighter 6 tournament was recently interrupted due to the hosts forgetting to turn off their nude Chun Li mod. During the tournament, a second round matchup between Kimberly and Chun Li saw the Chun Li model appear equipped with a mod that removed her clothes. The not safe for work clip was shared on Twitter by Nikos Diorio. In the clip, the commentators are unable to hide their laughter as the match begins before the video feed cuts away from the gameplay footage. It's a really good bit where it's like the match starts and then there's just Chun-Li's boobs and vulva. It's all just out there, Lucy. And it's all rendered. And if that's what you need to do to Street Fighter properly, I'm not judging you. But you got to turn that off for the other people there on Twitch. You're going to get other people in trouble on Twitch. Yes, Marino says, now we know why Evo uses only PS4s. Because you think PC would be simpler. Oh, it's simpler, and you could do a lot more. She drives a Volvo, says Absby. Yes, yeah, that's what I said, a Volvo. I did
I found it.
Yes, check it out. Like, let's get your reaction. They try, like the commentators tried to just play it off for a second, and then they're just like, well, that's a thing, huh? It's a pretty good bit. Lucy, I did the Baldurs Gate character creator recently, and
yes,
it was just like, hey, choose your genitals, and it's like there's a penis, here's our vulvas. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only other game I've played where it's done that has been Cyberpunk. So my favorite thing about this Chun-Li thing is that whoever is playing fights a little bit. Like, why?
He's like, well, listen, you're nude. That's not going to stop me from beating you up. I still have to, I'm not going to lose this match just because you came in nude.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they probably play with the nude mod on at home as well.
So down bad enough to play Street Fighter with a nude mod.
You gotta understand. We're just like, our brains are broken. If we can make characters naked, chances are we're gonna take the 5 minutes every once in a while to make that happen. But I mean, I appreciate a game like Baldur's Gate that's just like, no, we got you. We're just gonna put it in the game. Don't worry about it. Here you go. Here's all the bits. You've already seen everything.
The bits.
Expect to hear about Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox by the end of the year. This comes from Ben Leon at Game Reactor. The 1.0 launch for Baldur's Gate 3 has been all over the shop. The PC version debuts on Thursday, August 3rd, and then the PS5 edition comes in early September. As for the Xbox Series version, Larian has affirmed that it is on the way, but due to the difficulties of getting split screen working on the platform, it is taking longer than expected. As for how long fans will have to wait until the game debuts on Xbox Series X and S, a new tweet, or I guess a post these days, Jesus Christ, has implied that a 2024 launch might be on the cards. Larian's director of publishing, Michael Dowse, has taken to Twitter to state, "We've said many times in the past that the issue is getting split screen working on the Series S, which is taking more time, but is in progress. This is a huge technical hurdle, but we are unable to release the game on the ecosystem without this feature. Far from being exclusive, we have no exclusivity deals that prevents us from launching on Xbox. The issue is a technical hurdle. We cannot remove the split screen feature because we are obliged to launch with feature parity, and so continue to try to make it work. We have quite a few engineers working very hard to do what no other RPG of this scale has achieved: seamless drop-in, drop-out co-op on Series S. We hope to have an update by the end of the year." Baldur's Gate 3 feels like, Lucy, the game that is going to be, oh, I didn't play Starfield because I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I fell into that instead. It's like going to be the alternative massive RPG this year. And I think it's, it seems like it's going to be a massive thing here when it launches at the beginning of next month, something like that.
Baldur's Gate arrives tomorrow.
Is it out tomorrow? Okay, man, I just didn't
know. It's my birthday.
Man, tomorrow.
They moved it just for me. No,
that's right. 'Cause they said, okay, that makes sense now.
We had Swen on Friends Per Second last week, and we asked him about this, and it was basically like we technically never announced it for Xbox kind of situation, because he was just like, yeah, they want it out there. It's a technical limitation. Xbox's engineers are now involved, and he was like, yeah, hopefully there will be an update towards the end of the year, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be next year. It sounds like a major technical issue. The way they were describing, like, the way that towns work, it's just something that, like, the Series S, I don't think is
Yeah, I mean, because like the Series S's biggest issue has got to be that memory constraint, the amount of RAM it has, and enabling that to both render what you're looking at and then sharing enough so that someone else can be looking at something completely different, and maybe not just the same town, but another town in the same game, because you can go anywhere as in that co-op. Like, yeah, that's got to be very challenging. And to me, that's on Microsoft. Microsoft needs to help developers like that. If you're going to force people to have parity on Xbox Series X and S, and then they come with a game that's like, this game works on everything, and the big issue here is the Xbox Series S, Microsoft needs to send help over. Like, it's that simple to me. So I mean,
to their credit, they have, but it's like,
right,
feels late.
Exactly. Yeah, they have.
I think that's an overarching thing with Microsoft. I think that's something they're definitely going to be listening to and paying attention more, is like getting their engineers involved quicker, like getting their people involved earlier. Like they, on the couch, Phil and Matt said, we'll do that we should have done that with Redfall. Yep. Redfield.
Chris. Yeah, we should have done this with Chris Redfield.
Chris Redfield.
Yeah. You're right. And it's like, that's, that is what they need to give that extra love, not just because the stuff is, the Xbox Series S isn't quite as powerful as the other things on the market, but because, you're a little bit behind. So you need to show that you are the friendly one to work with, and that you go the extra mile to get that attention. Clearly they are doing some of that. I mean, that's, I think, how they get Square Enix back on their side a little bit. But yeah, just do more of that. All right, last story. Lenovo is reportedly making its own handheld gaming PC. This comes from Smangaliso Similane at Destructoid. Since the success of the Steam Deck, manufacturers have been warming to the idea of portable PCs, and more competitors are throwing their hats into the ring. The latest report suggests that the Lenovo may be the next to release a handheld gaming PC. Lenovo could have a handheld gaming PC on the way. According to a report from Windows Central, the device is called the Legion Go. It will compete with the Steam Deck and the recently released Asus ROG Ally, and it's expected to support an 8-inch display, which would make it larger than its direct competitors, which both feature 7-inch displays. The rumored gadget will run Windows 11, and it will be powered by AMD's new Phoenix processors, which could result in a powerful system. Revealed this year, the processors are used in several gaming machines, including the Razer Blade 14, the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 laptop, and the Acer Nitro 16 laptop. None of the reports have been confirmed by Lenovo, though if true, this won't be the company's first foray into handheld gaming PC market. An Android-based cloud gaming device called the Legion Play was never officially released, though a few prototype units went on sale in China. Lucy, I know that you have a Steam Deck. Are you still playing that? Are you still interested in handheld gaming PCs?
Yeah. I travel a lot, so Steam Deck is my boy. I did, however, I did have Steam Deck plugged into my TV, but it's not powerful enough for a bunch of games that I wanted to play, at least at the scale I wanted to play. So I put my old PC there, and then the new PC's over here. But every time I travel, I played a bunch of Dave the Diver when I was going to Comic-Con and back. I think I'm going to Gamescom, so that's going to be...
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah. So, and then we're doing PAX as well. So,
yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing my Steam Deck a lot.
Yeah,
mostly for indies. It's my indie
Exactly.
machine.
It's definitely good for indies. And there are a lot of AAA games that actually end up running just fine on a Steam Deck, let alone one of these, the ROG Ally, or this new one, the Legion Go, which, if it is using the newer chips from AMD, it's going to be very powerful. That's going to, especially if you're running games at 720p, you're going to be fine. The efficiency of these chips is getting very, very good. And so I expect this category to just keep growing and to be viable. And I'll keep checking in on it. Like, this is where I'm focusing. Like, I'm going to keep having my desktop, and I'll keep upgrading it over time and stuff like that. But the rest of the money that I would spend on PC stuff that may in the past have gone to a gaming laptop, I don't think I'm doing gaming laptops anymore. It's going to be these handheld gaming PCs. I think that's the way to go for me. I am a little bit more encouraged by Lenovo than Asus. I'm fine with Asus, but the Asus ROG Ally, they have their software to try to make it a more pleasurable experience to actually get games up and running on there, but it's not great. It's kind of annoying. Windows 11 is a pain to use with a controller and a touch screen, navigating that stuff, getting stuff set up. It is nice to just have native Windows so that, more things work. More things just work, and you can download games from the Xbox Game Store.
Works.
Just that's nice. But actually going through that process is annoying to me, and I don't like it. Steam Deck is it's leagues ahead on that stuff. My guess is Lenovo, my experience with Lenovo, their software, their layer that they put on top of Windows usually is a little bit better than what Asus does. So I'm hopeful that the Legion Go could be, one, better, and two, kind of force Asus to keep upping its game and improving what it does with the ROG Ally.
Every time you say Asus, I go, Asus, here's toast.
Asus!
Like the streamer, who's very nice. But he's a soul streamer. But every time you say it, I'm like, Asus, here's toast.
I think of Samuel Jackson's character from Die Hard 3 with a Vengeance, who is named Zeus. At least the people say, "Hey, Zeus, Adam." Okay, I got the poll from last week. It is over here. Let me bring it up. Where I asked. What did I ask? I asked, what is the best children's food? Exactly. Who can remember this stuff? Got it right there. There we go. What is the best children's food? Is it hot dogs, cheese pizza, or chicky nugs? 11% said hot dogs, including me. 32% said cheese pizza. 57% said chicky nugs. Where do you land on this, Lucy?
Cheese pizza.
Yeah,
not even a question.
Is it just is cheese pizza like something like you just regularly get?
Pizza.
Yeah, just called pizza.
Yeah, just call it pizza.
Well, I mean, just hot dogs is like I would give the same kind of hot dog to me as that I would give to my kids. And one of my kids really likes hot dogs, and it's like, yeah, it's just hot dogs.
You've heard my story, right? I went to an air show, and they gave me a burger made of hot dog meat, and I don't really like hot dogs because of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's deeply upsetting. No one should have to suffer that. That one's.
My dad also made me eat half of it, so because he was like, I spent £15 on this. I get it.
That's what happens. I try not to be that way, but I'm still that way sometimes.
And that's Sunderland Air show. I'll never go. Actually, it was very fun.
I'm sure it was a good time, and it was memorable. You had a memorable dog burger. Oof, woof, literally. Okay, we got a new poll that we're going to put up. Before we get to that, though, Lucy, what do you have happening this week? What do we have happening on Giant Bomb? I think Blight Club's happening later today at 2:30 p.m. Everybody's tuning in for that. But how about you, Lucy?
Got a new episode of Jeff's Bizarre Adventure going up today.
How is it going with the Cowboy Bebop?
He loves Bebop.
Yeah,
he's really into Bebop. He's also buying merch. Not Bebop merch. He was looking at Bebop merch, but he's like actually buying anime merch. So I feel like we've fully got a weeb on our hands.
Yes, I did see his lenticular JoJo stuff. But I think by the end of this, he's going to own some version of the Cowboy Bebop original soundtrack, because how do you not?
100%.
Everyone watches that show, and then they spend the next couple of years just listening to that on repeat. So that was such a good choice. I'm planning to catch up on that, because I just like hearing people like Cowboy Bebop. It's a really good show.
Hell yeah. So that's me this week. We're also doing a quick look for something, but you can't guess what. And someone mentioned I was on the Insert Credit podcast this week, really? Which was a lot of fun. I made a really filthy joke and overthinking it in my head, but apparently it went down very well. So I've had a busy time. And then audio logs, we've got Final Fantasy 16 going up tomorrow.
Excellent. Chance. Hello Kitty Adventure Island quick look.
Don't spoil it, Jan.
What was the other thing I wanted to? I can't remember the game I wanted to do. Disney Illusion Island. We need to do that as well. We'll figure that out. Okay. The new poll. What will be your next computer purchase? Will you build your own PC / buy a pre-build, get a laptop, get a handheld gaming PC, or do you have no plans to buy a PC of any kind? So we'll talk about that on Game S Mornings tomorrow on giantbomb.com, where I'll have Jan as my co-host. Speaking of Giant Bomb, what else is this week? UPF on Friday. I think we have plans for that. You know what? I'll check with the guys to see if we can tease what that actually is going to be tomorrow. And then what else? Voicemail Dump Truck as normal on Thursday. We'll probably end up doing our what will likely be our final episode for a while of Four Swords Adventure, because there's no way in hell we're going to beat that game, but we might go out with a blast. I don't know if we'll do that this week or next week. We'll find a spot for that, but look out for that. All right, Lucy, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.